Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. One thing I've learnt in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they got to where they are, get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. Oof. I'm looking at you, bit of pressure on my guest today. I am very excited to have English comedian, actor, musician, author, star of Black Books, and never mind the Buzzcocks, the one and the only Bill Bailey in studio with me over the last 30-odd years. Bill has been a regular visitor to New Zealand. He's arrived in the country ahead of his 13-centre tour. I'm going to get vaudevillian, and he's popped in for a chat.
Yes.
Hello, Bill Bailey.
Hello.
Thank you for coming in to see me.
Thank you for that introduction. My whole life flashed before me there.
Yeah, it does. And I did it quickly. Did you notice that?
And it was good.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just going to address the elephant in the room start off. I get a bit of stick about my hair and I'm disappointed that the mullet's gone.
Yes. Well, it had to come off last year. I was walking in Scotland, in quite remote areas of northern Scotland, and we were wild camping, which is just camping, you know, in New Zealand. But in Britain, we have to call it wild camping because it's illegal to camp anywhere in England or Wales. But in Scotland, it's legal for some reason. I think because it's kind of wilderness, there's a less population density, or just, I think we're just the Scots trust you to look after the land. Anyway, we got a bit feral, and my hair was a little bit matted.
Oh.
And I was attending to a fire, and a gust of wind blew one of these sort of stray strands into the flame, and it sort of nearly caught fire, and it sort of singed the end of it, and I just thought, oh, that's not good, is it? And at that point, it's like, up to then, the hair had just been thing. It was as a part of me. It was my sort of, kind of trademark. But then when it becomes an actual threat.
Threat to life.
Then I thought, maybe that's the time to say, cheerio.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm still growing mine out. So if I get to a certain, I'm trying to age disgracefully.
I know, but the thing is, you see, what you have is you have a good shape to the style. You have the mulet, but you have an excellent hair here, and then the sides, and then the long, which is classic mullet. See, what I had was not much there, but quite a lot at the back. Yeah. When I renamed it the skullet.
Oh, right? I like that.
Which is kind of more sort of physically a better description. So this is good. This is a good mullet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Keep with that. All right. For as long as possible.
Okay, in the second half, we're going to talk about your shows and what you're doing, because I'm absolutely fascinated and I can't get my head around it. Yeah. How am I going to start? Bill, I think that you are weirdly, wildly talented. I mean, it just, for all that you can do, it is just extraordinary. I mean, I said a bit in the introduction, but you know how many musical instruments you can play, the fact that you're funny, you're a writer, you draw. I've been absolutely mesmerised. I told you as you walked in before we started this that I went down the rabbit hole of the Queen podcast. Yes. Because I'm an absolute avid fan myself. Right. And so down I went there. I mean, let's start at the beginning. Is it being an only child that means you are so multi-dimensional in what you can do?
Well, that's possibly part of it, yes. Because when I was growing up, I would throw myself into all sorts of things. I read avidly when I was a kid. Yeah, okay. And I immersed myself in books and literature and music. We're very lucky to have a piano in the house when I was growing up. So I just would play tunes. I'd listen to tunes on the radio. I'd listen to all kinds of music. And also I grew up in a kind of multi-generational household. Our grandparents lived in one end of the house. And my grandfather was, he loved singers, he loved 40s and 50s music, which I then absorbed into my own sort of musical orbit. And my dad loved comedy. He loved listening to the Goons. My mum loved singing songs off the radio. So I was sort of surrounded by a lot of different kind of cultural touchstones in a way.
And encouraged in all of them?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. And so, and then you've got that academic ability as well. How many honorary doctorates do you have?
3, I think.
Well, you can't say I think, because then that undermines how intelligent I'm telling everyone you are.
I think okay, it's definitely 3.
Okay, it's definitely 3. I like that.
No more
I
than
saw
4.
one and I was quite excited.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's something. And then I was like, oh, you've got one from Australia. And
there was a couple in Australia, and there was one in Ireland, and one from Dublin, and one from my old place where I grew up, Bath, the University of Bath, which was where I went to school. And so that meant a lot.
Wow. So where does the having that kind of, that skill, that interest, that curiosity, the intelligence to actually turn it into something as alongside that creativity, but then how does that get you, in bands? Like there must be a lot of supremely talented people out there that are sitting in houses out the back of Scotland and singing to themselves.
But very possibly, yes. Let's get in touch with them. I don't know. I mean, I think I was very lucky. I was very fortunate to have very supportive parents, and they allowed me to, they encouraged me with my piano playing, and I had piano lessons, and I taught myself guitar, and there was never really. They didn't put an expectation on me. I think that was it. They allowed me to kind of do my own thing, and I'm very grateful to them for that, because I don't know, perhaps in another scenario that might not have happened. I might have pursued more assiduously an academic career, and then gone down a different path.
Because they're both, your parents have got a health background, don't they?
Yes, that's right.
So you could have gone down that path, and it would have been
Absolutely.
quite linear.
It would have been, and there's a lot of my fellow sort of friends and schoolmates did. They pursued a sort of very sort of traditional path. They went to university, and then from there they went straight into a job, and then that was it. A lot of them are still doing those jobs that they went into. So in a way, I'm sort of quite grateful that they allowed me a little bit of latitude in that way, and I sort of came to whatever I wanted to do in a more roundabout way. But I think that in a way, it meant I experimented. I was able to do lots of different jobs. I mean, I was played in a band, as you say. I got a job with a theatre company. I got a job playing piano in a restaurant, which taught me a lot actually, and about tunes and how to pick up tunes, and I sort of
avoid food being stolen.
That's right, and play things. Let's play something these people like, But I guess I was able to sort of find a way to find a career, find something that was meaningful and that I could get a lot out of off my own bat, as it were. And I think that was very important, really, in a way, because it meant that I was able to do something which I didn't feel like I was pressured into anything. I just felt like I would carry on, I would write, and I would play music, and I would be in bands, and something will show up.
I was going to say, do you make opportunities or do you take opportunities in those, particularly in those earlier years? I mean, I can see not more recently, but I can see that as you became more famous, as people knew you, as they knew what they were going to get, then you would be making opportunities. But in those early years, was it how to decide what to say yes to?
Well, it was, yes. I mean, it was it's quite a precarious life in the arts generally. I mean, and back then, I left school, and I didn't really know what I was going to do, and I knew it wasn't going to be any of those sort of. I wasn't keen to pursue any particular path, and I ended up going to college in London, and then I was studying drama and English, but it didn't really sort of. As satisfying as I thought it was going to be, and I needed there was some outlet I needed for this performing kind of urge that I had, this urge to kind of get on stage and have this connection with an audience. So I ended up joining a theatre company there at college, and we performed in French. We performed A-level texts for French students. And then I just thought, this is what I want to do. And that was it, really. And I kind of, college just, then it didn't hold any appeal to me after that. I'd got this taste of performance and being on stage. So then I happened to be in London at a time when there was a kind of burgeoning comedy scene. And me and a friend from college, we did a tryout night. It went well, so we got booked again. And so suddenly we realised there was a whole circuit of comedy that was happening around in London and around the country, as it turned out. And so that was the sort of lure of live performance and of the freedom to be able to say, do, make up something, sing a song, think up a funny sketch, and that will be in the show that evening. And there was hugely sort of attractive to me, that idea. It was almost like a punk ethic, that sort of DIY ethic, that you could just get up and do it yourself.
Wow. And did you feel that sort of the thrill of that connection with the crowd, or that, you sort of get that adrenaline buzz? I was in politics for years, and so standing in front of a crowd that's perhaps angry and doesn't share your beliefs, and then the thrill of actually getting your point across and turning some people, for me, was absolutely adrenaline, and I loved it, which is quite different, I know.
No, but it is. It's very similar, because you when you get up in front of people, perhaps when you're starting doing comedy, they don't know who you are, they don't know what you do, and you have to try and convince them in pretty quickly.
Like that, right?
Then you kind of either you know what you're doing, or there's something about you that hooks them in. And that was a brilliant learning experience, those years of playing to crowds all around the country and getting them on side. That was that's where you learn the craft of the job. And there were occasions like that, like you say. I remember going to like a Blackpool, right? We were playing in a working men's club gig, and the introduction was, the bloke said, he goes, right. He goes, we got a couple of lads here from London, right? And the whole crowd went, ooh. Because this is sort of real antipathy between North and South. We got a couple of lads here from London. Ooh. Anyway, and that was it. That was our introduction, And by the end, when they were all laughing and clapping, that felt like a massive win, like a massive away win.
Because they had a preconception of what you were going to be, and then you surprised and delighted them.
You actually, you rise to that challenge, and then they were like, wow, these lads, they're pretty funny. And that was, you have evenings like that where as I still talk about it now, I get slight sort of goosebumps thinking about it, because it potentially could have gone so wrong. But being able to turn it around, that felt like there was a huge boost of confidence that you get from that.
Yeah. So then the writing, so you've done a lot of writing, and I sort of talked about the drawing as well, mainly birds and things.
Yeah, birds, yeah.
So, I mean, I just can't quite get your brain. Are you sitting there and going, I know, I'll draw a bird. And then, and then you happen to be extraordinary at it.
That's it.
Like...
No, that came about because I was, because I have an interest in birds, and I've made programs about it, TV shows and so on. So I was approached by a publisher and said, would you be interested in doing a guide to British birds? And I said, yeah, okay, great. And then it'll be just my experiences of trying to find birds around Britain. And I guess, as any birder will tell you, part of the pleasure of it is the getting to the place, the experiences that you have there. It's not just, I've seen that bird, tick it off. It's the company that you have when you get there, the experience of getting there. Sometimes you're into beautiful parts of the country to find these birds. Anyway, and so it was my wife, actually. She encouraged me. She said, well, why don't you do the illustrations? I said, well, I'm not a trained artist. I said, I don't really know what I'm doing. She goes, well, that's fine. That, in some ways, it's better in a way. You're not sort of following a preconceived path here. So I said, I did a few sketches, and she said, oh, these are great. So I ended up illustrating the whole book, and then that led to more illustrations and people commissioning me to do birds. And then, of course, I love insects as well. So I started doing bees and butterflies and moths and beetles. And I've got hundreds of these now, which I just I do for my own pleasure.
So you describe yourself as an artist, which I like, and you've done TV, stand-up, film, music, publishing, touring, drawing, as we were just saying. So what would you say your first love is?
Well, I mean, I got to say, it's probably performing because that was really where all of these elements are coming up. Music, I think, was probably the first thing that I started to learn. But very quickly, I learned the power of performance because I was
which is why you'd love Queen.
Which is why.
Sorry.
Absolutely. No,
music,
exactly. No, but I mean, that's exactly why wouldn't you? You know, I remember when I was a kid, you know, it was a funeral and at the house, and there was a wake at the house, and an elderly aunt had died, and all the people were sort of having tea, and it was all very somber. And there was a piano in the corner of the front room, and I was a fan of there's a British comedian, Les Dawson, and he was a brilliant comic, but also a very accomplished pianist. And part of his shtick was he would deliberately play things wrong. And so I'd learned this bit of shtick, and I was like, here, a bit of Tchaikovsky, bling, 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 and you just play deliberate wrong notes. And my dad he just suddenly exploded with laughter with a mouthful of tea. He was talking to someone going, yeah, and then my mum dropped something, and then was just sort of chaos went off because of comedy.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, look at the power of that.
Power. Yeah, that is.
That was a moment.
Okay, I think that being the oldest winner of Strictly Come Dancing should be your biggest claim to fame, but I'll let you go with that. Okay, we have to take a quick break because you and I are talking too much. Bill, when we come back,
yes,
we're going to talk about this new show of yours, and we're going to talk more about music and musical instruments because it's fascinating. Back soon.
All right. What happens when you say back? So where do you go?
They put ads on.
Should I do the ads?
Yeah.
If you're looking for an affordable barbecue, I recommend the Hotchkiss 5000. Indoor barbecues, the weather can't spoil. Okay,
welcome back.
All right.
Bill, you're in the country for your new show.
Yes.
And we call it Vaudevillian.
Vaudevillian, yeah.
Okay. I have no idea what that is. And I tried to have a look yesterday, and I kept going down a rabbit hole of you and bloody Queen.
Oh, okay.
And then I'd come back, so don't worry about that. But because you know us Kiwis, because you've been here a few times, we love to talk about how much you love New Zealand.
Yes.
That's just the way we roll, eh?
I know, it's good.
So So you've been here a lot of times.
Yes.
Do you know how many?
Now that is a question that I do not know the answer to, but I could give you
acceptable.
I could give you a sort of rough ballpark because I remember when I first came, I think it was about 96, and this was before I was married. So, but Chris we were together. We went married. So this was, it would have been 96, and then I came every year after that, 96, 97, 98, 99.
Oh, wow.
So probably like 5 years on the trot every year. Performing at the festival and travelling around New Zealand. And then sort of not too long after that, I got into this touring schedule of coming every 2 years. So it's quite a few times.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a
basically,
lot.
Yeah.
So why? Because we are a little country down the
but it's
bottom
such
of
a
the
beautiful spot.
Yeah.
And I love performing, and the audiences are always great and very receptive. And do you know what? Even now, I started doing comedy when I was 18. So there's a few decades that I've been doing this. But the novelty of traveling halfway around the world to find an audience for your comedy still hasn't worn off for me.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the fact that I can travel all this way and there's an audience for my comedy. And I think that that's it's something I don't think I'll ever tire of.
Have you done bird watching in New Zealand?
Yes.
Because I just spent some time in California and it just really hit me that there were no birds. So
Yeah.
there's no birds.
Nope.
It's just really weird.
Yeah, it's very.
And then I lie in bed first thing in the morning and I wake up to absolute bird song.
Oh,
And I was trying to describe it to someone in California and I was just like, oh, they just don't get it at all.
no, that's right. And the thing is, though, New Zealand, you have these unique birds, like endemic birds. Then bird life you just can't see anywhere else. And for a birder, that's one of the great draws.
Oh, it's just amazing. Okay, right, now we better do what we're both here to do.
All right.
Which is talk about
Advertise
the show.
these cushions.
Yes, thank you.
No, sorry.
Okay, well, what on earth are you doing? Do you know what you're doing?
Sort of.
What is vaudeville?
Vaudevillian is the name of the show.
Sorry, vaudeville.
Vaudevillian. Vaudeville. Well, vaudeville is a form of entertainment which was hugely popular in the late part of the 19th century in America, but it's spread all around the world. But it basically is characterized by comedy, sketches, stories, anecdotes, bits of banter with the audience, music, all kinds of things. And then I realized that's exactly what I do. That's kind of my entire set, my entire sort of life's work in a word. So I realised that now, after all these years, perhaps now's the time to lean into this and embrace what I am, which is a vaudevillian.
So it's that it can kind of go off in any direction and it's got the music.
Yeah, it's a bit of variety. It's old style music hall, really, for want of a better word, which was very popular in Britain in the old days, in the 20s and 30s. But vaudeville, actually, the word itself originates in France in the 1400s from a place called vaudeville, where the very first identifiable, start, the origin of it, if you like, they were kind of songs, satirical songs sung in the taverns and at a place called vaudeville. And a lot of people thought it was voix de ville, which means voice of the city, but it wasn't. It was this place where this began, and it spread all through France, and it was like the kind of the comedy was earthy, it was relatable to the people that worked in the fields, and they'd go to the tavern in the evening and they'd hear some songs that probably made fun of the employers or the politicians of the day.
I was going to say the mayor,
the mayor, and it had a kind of, it was grounded in their own lives. And it was, and not to go into too much down the rabbit hole with this, but the theatre in France was run quite strictly by the Comédie Française, and it had a monopoly on theatres. And the vaudevillians were sort of kept out. They were seen to be like the kind of the lesser quality standard, the ragtag bunch. They want this riffraff in our nice theatres, and so it has that sort of same, as I would call it, that punk ethic of like, do it yourself. This is comedy that comes from everyday life and it incorporates all aspects of life, and yet it became hugely popular. And then it spread around the world. And a lot of it was in America was very much about diversity in America. It was about a lot of people traveling to America, bringing with them skills, music from all around the world, and then incorporating this in a show. And so I sort of think that part of my desire to perform I have that same aim in order to bring lots of different elements into the show, exotic instruments, sort of obscure and rather arcane subject matter you don't normally see in comedy, my own experience, audience participation. All of these things are really carrying the torch of what this original entertainment was, which was before radio, before TV, before the internet, before all of that.
Wow.
This was what people went to for their fun. And there's a great quote, which, the great theatre critic, John Lair, the great biographer, he said that frivolity is our species' way of dealing with suffering. And that's it. Life is hard. It's tough, but we uniquely amongst the species of the world can enjoy ourselves. We can embrace frivolity, and that's very much a sort of credo of why I do it.
So your show, obviously, because did I read that you alluded to it as well, that you've learnt new instruments for it, and so you know what you're doing, and we'll expand on that a bit more. So you know what, but then if you're interacting with a crowd, it must go off in different directions.
Yeah.
They're not going to be 13 exactly the same.
No, well, that's it. I mean, that's part of it is because it's fun for me, because you don't quite know what people are going to say or how it's going to go. But that's one of the great joys of it. I don't quite know what will happen, but there's a sort of structure to the show which I will stick to. But getting involved, getting people to play music, that's what I do. I get people to I facilitate them in order to play instruments.
So you've learnt yourself, and then you might get someone out of the audience.
No, they stay where they are, and I've got little bits of kit, bits of equipment, which I can allow them to play instruments, and so then they accompany me in the show, and together we create something.
Do you need musical talent to do it, or you're just going to say hit on the xylophone? Blue key?
Obviously it helps, but it's not compulsory.
Okay.
In fact, sometimes it's better if they don't know what they're doing.
Because that can be funny.
Yes.
Because, this is why I love it, right? And I just think you're absolutely fascinating. But I was thinking as you were just like, just pick up this instrument and I learn it. And then and then off I go. And I was just like, oh my God, 3 years of piano lessons and, 2 on guitar, and I still probably can't bloody play a note.
But you got to stick at it. You've got to persevere.
Like 5 years of my life was enough.
No, but
sometimes you don't have the talent.
You can persevere. Everyone's got musicality in them. Everyone's got rhythm in them. We are predisposed to this. It's an evolutionary advantage.
Okay. All right. Well, if I'm in the audience, don't get me to play the instrument. Then. All right.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Because unless you want the comedic.
Well, there you go. You see,
that might work.
No, I'll just go no. Again.
Yeah. Crikey. And then I will be traumatized. The 7-year-old me of literally the strap, the what do you call it, ruler.
You got hit with
the piano when you got it wrong. Yeah.
That's probably why. It's probably just
traumatized.
You've got some sort of PTSD.
Probably. Okay, so talk to me about the instruments, because I think it's just because you do play something like 60 or something. I was reading. I mean, it's like insane. And then, what have you particularly picked up for this?
Well, for this show, I've got a few instruments that I don't think you don't see that much on the stage, or if at all. I mean, one of them was an instrument which was given to me by a fan, and it's it doesn't sound that promising. It's a 1-string lute, from the Indian subcontinent from the 1400s, and you don't immediately think, yay, rock and roll.
1 string.
It's called an ektara, and it literally is 1 string, and it has a sort of sound box on the bottom and 1 tuning peg. And I played it for ages, and I just made 1 tune, and I thought, well, that's just great, but there's not much variety. And then I realised, oh no, you squeeze it, and there were 2 wooden struts that form the outside, and as you pinch the struts, it alters the pitch of the string. So it's a very primitive thing, but amazingly versatile. So there's that, and then I've got an instrument which is not really an instrument. It's more of a piece of kit. It's a typewriter.
Oh, they're great sounds.
And typewriters, they're so percussive. Like the keys are very percussive, but then you've got the carriage return, zoom, and then the ding.
Yeah.
So you've got...
And the size of them means that sounds slightly echoes, eh?
Yeah.
I'm presuming there's people out there that are like under 40 and have no idea what
they're talking about. Yeah. They look at it like, what is that? No, it is a
weirdo.
Museum piece. Yeah. It is weirdo. So I might have to explain what a typewriter was. There's a little disclaimer before I start. Yeah. No, and then, so I've got I've got a couple of traditional instruments, a banjo, an accordion. I've got a Swedish keyed violin called a nyckelharpa, which was, again, from about 1500. And it's a violin, but instead of playing the notes by pressing your finger on the fret, you play little wooden keys which bend the string into the pitch.
Okay.
And it looks extraordinary.
Yeah, it would.
It's quite amazing. So few things. I've set myself a challenge.
Yeah, you certainly have. And so and then there's that. You've got the audience playing some notes,
Yes.
is what you said, and the comedy sort of stuff. Is it one where I can shout out, get off, or
No, you can't.
grow your hair? No.
Well, I mean, by all means, absolutely do that.
Okay,
I can't guarantee that I won't stop the show and then focus entirely on you.
Yeah, that won't work for me.
Right.
Okay, so do you love, but you've talked about it in the beginning, that thrill of why you kind of got into it all.
Yeah.
But do you like that smaller audience? Do you like that interactive? Do you like to be able to look people in the eye?
I think so.
And entertain them?
I mean, the comedy began in its current form, began as cabaret, and cabaret started in the back rooms of saloons in France. So it was just a little handful of people, and sometimes, I do play big shows back home, which are more of a sort of big spectacle, and you've got screens and cameras.
Yeah, I've seen them on TV. Yeah.
But actually, with a smaller crowd, what's great is that when I do ask people questions, which I do every time, I can hear what they're saying, but crucially, the audience can hear. So everyone's in on it. And that can be really good in terms of timing, because you don't have to then repeat what people are saying. Everyone's in on it and everyone can hear about it, hear what's being said.
Yeah, you got the banter.
So you got a bit more.
Yeah.
The rhythm's better.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So you'll enjoy getting around and getting to these smaller audiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here we go. Oh God, there's so much we could talk about. I'm looking at you making traditional crafts. I've got hobbies and crafts and making things with your hands. So is that just, again, that creative, tactile enjoyment that you get?
Oh, no, I love that. I mean, I've made a few series about traditional crafts, partly because there's a real danger that some of these things will die out, and actually, putting a bit of focus on them hopefully encourages people to take it up even. But also, I just think that we're conditioned to do that. As humans, we're makers. If you look at every culture around the world, there's artifacts that aren't practical.
Yeah, they're not for something.
They're not for something. They're just for enjoyment. And that's where we're sort of almost conditioned to do that. It's in our DNA to want to make things. And I think that, the modern world means that we don't necessarily have to. That part of that sort of thing has been, well, it's not, you can just buy something. It breaks and get on. But actually making something, it has all these other benefits. Brings focus, you slow down, it improves all kinds of concentration, and it's just a really lovely thing to do. And so that's why I wanted to.
I love it.
My grandfather was a stonemason, and so I sort of, I saw firsthand that what having those kind of skills. I love
in New Zealand that we've really embraced getting back to the tradition of Māori culture and what it means to actually, and I was at a school actually just this week, and you're sitting there and you're watching the older people, the kaumātua, literally sitting with these 6, 7, 8, and they're making things, right?
Yeah.
And of course then the stories are all coming out and the questions, and so it's about what they're making, but then equally it's about that connection. I just thought it was one of the most beautiful things I'd seen in a while, actually.
No, it's very important, I think. It's a connection, like you say, to the past, and to ancient culture, and to all human culture, going back to when there were humans. I mean, as long as there have been humans, people have wanted to make things.
We've been wanting to make things. Yeah. Okay, let's talk animals. Did you bring any animals with you?
Not on this time. No, it's difficult.
We don't really like that in New Zealand. We get a bit touchy about.
You get a bit touchy about just
people
artifacts. Never mind,
Yeah.
Animals,
we don't like a banana,
no,
let alone
a banana.
Yeah.
A kazoo that I got taken off me.
Yeah.
So I haven't.
No, okay,
not
good.
on this occasion.
Good.
No, there's plenty to see. That's the main thing.
That's very important. No, but you do. You love nature, as you've identified, and we've talked about the birds. But you're also. I mean, how on earth did you end up with more or less a zoo in the backyard? Did you?
Well, we did, yes, and we've wound it down now because it was getting a bit out of hand. But it started off as like anything really. You start small and it snowballs. And we had a bit of space in our back garden in London, and we had a dog. As it had a dog, and so we went to the pet shop, and then the pet shop say, well, there's this rabbit that nobody wants, it's probably going to be euthanized, and we said, no, we'll have it. So we took the rabbit on, and then they said, well, if you're going to take the rabbit, you might as well take the guinea pig. So we went, all right, we'll have the guinea pig as well then. And then someone else got in touch and said, we got a parrot we don't need, do you want a parrot? So we had a parrot, and then another parrot, and then
this is not normal, Bill. I just want to point this out.
Well, okay, but it became normal, and and then to the point that we ended up with armadillos and
Did you ever collect ants for them to eat? Do they eat ants?
No, the armadillos, they're omnivorous, so they they'll forage for all sorts of things. But
lucky I'm not running the zoo.
What do you like?
Eat an ant.
Like an ant? We got you some ants. They're looking at you like, what?
Okay.
So yes, it sort of got a bit out of hand, and but now we've had to pare it down. Really.
Okay, what's an animal that you shouldn't keep in your backyard?
Well, now you'd say chickens, right? That would be fine. And we had giant Malay game fowl, and we said we'll look after them. And it was a giant cockerel. The cockerel was about this high.
How high is that?
That's
a metre.
I mean, about a metre high.
Okay, just
and
in case people are only listening.
And 2 hens, and they looked amazing. They're beautiful plumage, and then we just thought, oh, these are fantastic. And then I'd done a bit of research, and I said to the person who was asking us to look after them, and I said, were they not fighting? They were bred for fighting. And she said, yeah, she goes, they were bred for fighting. She goes, but the fight is bred out of them. It's long gone. The fighting is long bred out of them. And all right, that should have been my first red flag, because this cockerel we had, I don't know, something about me reactivated his fighting instincts.
Oh.
He didn't like me at all.
Alpha male.
Oh, he saw me as a threat. And
did he think you looked like one of them?
I don't know what it was. He just thought I was after his hens or something, and I wasn't. Well, no interest.
Okay.
But he was like, he hated me. And he would double ninja kick me on the back of the leg with his big feet. And I was a prisoner in my own house. I couldn't go out in the garden. He'd chase me around the garden. And what was really bad was that he didn't do it with anyone else. It was just me.
Just you.
So other people would go out there, and they would let him stroke him, and they go, oh, see, he's fine. And all the time they were stroking him, he's looking at me with his side eye going, yeah, you wait, just wait till I get you. You just wait till you're on your own. And then they would leave, and he would, and I had to go and feed him. I'd go out with the dustbin. We had dustbins out the front of the garden. I'd take the lid of the dustbin to fend him off.
Wow.
I'm thinking I've got dustbin lids in my back garden. At one point, somebody suggested I wear cricket pads when I went, and I was thinking, my life is not my own now.
Yeah. When I'm having to dress up
to dress up to go in the garden.
Yeah, to protect myself in my own garden.
This thing, honestly, and then it was only when he turned on we had some building work done. He turned on one of the builders that people believed me that he broke bad. He was a wrong un.
Yeah.
And I came home once, I was on tour, and I came back, and one of the Irish builders was there, this fella Sean, and he was crouched down behind the shed, and he was going, is he there? Bill, is he there? And I went, what? And he went, because he'd been mocking me before. He'd been going, oh, is it the chicken you're afraid of, Bill? Who's the chicken here? And then he's hiding behind the shed. Is he there? That he got me good the other day, and he showed me a big gouge out of his. This thing was out of control. That he would never keep a big fighting cock in your back garden.
Okay,
that's the take home.
Oh, that's good advice, because this is an advice podcast.
Oh, good.
And so I think that's really valid advice.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
That's all right. These are affordable plant pots for 4 easy payments of $3.99. This can be yours.
With a set of knives.
With a set of knives.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling jaded?
No.
Are you looking for a pickup, a pep? Come and listen to Bill Bailey on Ask Me Anything, Paula Bennett's podcast.
There you go.
It's my ad. How's that? Thank you. Okay, to end the podcast, I would love to know, what do you think is the best advice you've ever been given, and who was it by?
Well, I just think my old music teacher gave me some fantastic advice where she said to me, maybe in these words, but words similar to this, was you are capable of much more than you think you are. And I thought that was, at the time, it didn't really occur to me. And I thought she was just encouraging me to play this piece of music. But actually, those words have resonated with me my whole life. We are capable of more than we think. You know, and when I was, anything I've done, you know, whether it's TV or theatre or acting or writing, I mean, I would never have thought I was capable of drawing, and yet you sort of, if you apply yourself to something, you surprise yourself.
Yeah. That's really, really cool, because we do underestimate ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
In knowing that you've got that capability. I really enjoyed that. Is there anything I haven't asked you that I should have?
No.
If you could time travel, would you go back in time or forward?
Yes. Oh, I'd go back to the 1850s.
Future? Would you?
Yeah, and be part of these great expeditions where new countries, new lands were opening up, and where nobody had ever set foot before.
You'd be one of those with the horse and carriage, and you'd have the piano on.
Yes,
that you see
exactly.
in some of those.
I'd have a piano, a grand piano.
Yeah.
Carted through the forests.
Yeah, it's nowhere to sleep, nothing like that, but you've got a piano.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
I change my mind every week that I do this, but at the moment I think I'd go back in time so I can see Queen live.
Yeah.
At Wembley.
That would have been great.
Wouldn't that?
Be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be something.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in and talking to me. I've really enjoyed this chat. Bill's month-long New Zealand tour kicks off on Wednesday, the 29th of October. Tickets are on sale now. Check out bombpresents.com. Bomb is B-O-H-M.
Yes.
Would you say it like that?
Boom.
It's a Kiwi.
That's how you say it.
Bogan and me. Okay, there we go. So you know where to go. Go and get tickets. And that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. If you have enjoyed this episode, please follow Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you check out some of our past fabulous guests while you're here. Thanks for checking in with me and Bill. I'll be back next week. I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.